constantly spiking our blood glucose after each meal has multiple negative effects on our bodies. Following a keto diet might be an easy way to avoid glucose spikes. But what if I told you that we can still enjoy our carbs while maintaining stable blood glucose levels? My name is Claudia Cano, I'm a 45 years old sustainable nutritionist and I help busy women in the 40s make healthy eating easy. In this video, we will be discussing 8 tips to avoid glucose spikes, some of which are recommended by biochemist Jessie Inchos-Pett in her book Glucose Revolution. By avoiding a blood glucose spike with breakfast, we set ourselves up for success in preventing spikes and cravings throughout the day. One simple way to achieve this is by choosing a savory breakfast option, such as eggs with vegetables, or why not, leftovers dinner from the previous night. After doing some testing, I personally avoid the glucose spike from my breakfast by simply having a hard-boiled egg before my oats that contains fruits, yogurt, and protein powder. Other options include a green or brown smoothie with added protein and a small amount of fruit, preferably berries. However, it's important to note that fruit juices or smoothies should be avoided, as they strip the fruit of its fiber and concentrate its fructose, mimicking the effects of consuming sugar. If you want to include fruit in your breakfast, make sure to pair it with added fats and protein. Full-fat yogurts, nuts, or nut butters are great options, or you can have fruits after a complete glucose-friendly meal. When all the food groups are present on our plates, it's important to consume them in the correct order. Fiber first, then protein and fat, starches such as rice, potatoes, pasta and breads, and finally sugar. For example, let's say we are having baked salmon with potatoes and a salad. In this case, we should start by eating the salad first, preferably with the vinegar dressing. More on this later. Next, we will go for the salmon, which provides protein and fat, before moving on to the potatoes, which are the starches. I understand that it can be challenging to follow this order when preparing a meal bowl or a salad with ingredients that are already mixed up. We don't have to go and fish them separately. It will be enough if we make sure we have included all the food groups in our meal, making sure no starchy vegetables are the dominant part. Including a small leafy salad as a green starter before a carb-rich meal can provide the fiber necessary to slow down the absorption of glucose in our bodies. This simple addition allows us to incorporate more vegetables into our diet, providing essential nutrients and fiber to support optimal digestive function. To make the green starter more appealing, we can even sprinkle some seeds or nuts on top. If the task of washing the leaves feels like a barrier for you, consider buying pre-washed, ready-to-eat salads in bags from the grocery store. Alternatively, if you prefer to minimize plastic waste, opt for heartier greens like kale or spinach that can be stored following these instructions up here to keep them fresh for up to 10 days. Using a vacuum-sealed container to store leafy green can also make a significant difference in maintaining their freshness. Consuming carbs in isolation not only leads to a spike in blood glucose, but also induces rapid fluctuation in the hunger hormone ghrelin, leaving us feeling even hungrier in a short period of time. To counter this, we can coat our carbs with fiber, protein, and fat. An excellent example is pairing avocado and egg with toast, or incorporating cheese, yogurt, nuts, or nut butter when consuming fruit. This coating slows down the absorption of glucose in our bodies, reducing the amount and speed at which it's absorbed. When faced with a craving or the temptation of something sweet, it's best to save it and enjoy it after a complete meal. If, for instance, we feel like having a cookie as a mid-afternoon snack, our stomach will have already emptied from the lunch we consumed, and our body will only process the sugars from the cookie, inevitably causing a spike in blood glucose. However, if we indulge in dessert or fruit after a meal consumed in the appropriate order, any spike in blood glucose would likely be smaller. Studies have shown that vinegar, specifically the acetic acid it contains, can help prevent a glucose spike when consumed prior to a meal. It's recommended to mix up to 1 tablespoon of vinegar in a large glass of water before meals, particularly those rich in carbs. Just a quick note in this: when consuming vinegar, it's advisable to use a straw to protect our teeth from the acids. If you're trying this for the first time, starting with just 1 teaspoon of vinegar and gradually increasing the amount is a good approach. 1 tablespoon is equivalent to 3 teaspoons. If the thought of drinking vinegar grosses you out, you can add it to your green starter instead. This is an easy trick that can also be used in restaurants. Theoretically, any type of vinegar can be used since they all contain acetic acid. However, it's worth noting that balsamic vinegar, especially the denser varieties, contain sugar and should be avoided. The best choice would be organic unfiltered apple cider vinegar. It has been widely proven that physical movement is beneficial for our health, and incorporating a little exercise after meals can greatly help in avoiding glucose spikes. When we engage in a few minutes of exercise or take a short 10 minutes walk, our muscles and entire body require fuel to generate the energy necessary for the physical activity. Glucose is our body's preferred energy source because it's the quickest to use. So since our blood glucose levels naturally increase after eating, performing exercise after meals allows our body to directly use the glucose from our bloodstream to meet the energy demands of the activity. Within 1 hour after finishing a meal, we can try to do some form of movement. This can be as simple as going for a brisk walk, dancing, performing bodyweight exercises, or even doing household chores. Adequate sleep works wonders for our overall well-being. When I wear a continuous glucose monitor, I observed that my average and blood glucose levels were higher when I was sleep deprived. This effect was even more pronounced during stressful periods. In both cases, I experienced more frequent cravings throughout the day. Incorporating these hacks into my daily routine has made a significant difference in my health and eating behavior. And so have the 8 daily habits that I talk about in this video here that have changed my life in my 40s. If you're new to my channel and want to make healthy eating easy, make sure you subscribe right here to watch new videos every Sunday. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, you can check out the link I left in the description box. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.